Hello, my wonderful friend. Part 2 of my story, and it's going to be about inpatient treatment. So that's about to go down, but first I have to decide where to do it. So we're going to try it outside. Say hello to Sam. Hello, Sam. He doesn't care. Okay, we found our background. Better than my boring... Oh, hang on. First off, I have the flu. Actually, I don't know if I have the flu. I have some sort of illness going on here. I thought I'd take this time, because I had the day off of work because I was sick. I would take this time to have a little chit chat with you guys about my part 2 anorexia story. Should I sit right here? Okay. I also have water because fluids are good for when you're sick. And mommy said coffee doesn't count, so where I left off last time, I think, was my parents had left me at the inpatient treatment, and the decision was, what's going on? The decision was to get tubed, sounds awful, but to get an NG tube placed into my stomach to get some fluids, because I couldn't eat on my own, basically. And honestly, at that point, I was okay with that. I was like, that's fine, tube me, I can't do it, I need help. I was kind of just like ready to be like, I'm done. How that worked is this tiny little white-ish cream, actually it's not white, it's cream. Okay, I'm gonna try really hard not to say so much. That is my clutch word. No ums. So, I almost said it again. So the tube is creamish and it's very tiny. And what I was expecting when I heard of it, I was like, that's a butterfly. That's not what I thought. No ums. Sorry. When I heard of it, I was like, oh yeah, it's this awful thing that's like all the way in your nose, and it's like you're hooked up to something, like you're in the hospital wheeling around a stand with you. That's not the way it is. It's actually not that bad. It's tiny and it goes in through your nose. And what they say is, what they told me was, okay, here it is. So they put it in, and they're like, okay, just start swallowing. So I did. I started swallowing as they pushed it down. And yeah, it hurt. It was like, obviously it goes okay in the nostril, but like it has to kind of pass through, well, whatever the anatomy is. But like it felt like it had to get past this wall. It stopped, and then you had to push past the wall and keep swallowing, and that was super uncomfortable and painful. And then just keep swallowing, and then honestly, once it got down there, it didn't hurt. It was definitely hard to get used to because, for instance, if you eat super dry foods, and because it's in the back of your throat, I could like open my mouth and reach in and pull it, and I could tug on it from the back of my throat, and it would like pull up my nose. So it was like this thing going on. We were bored, so we played with our equipment. If you eat, like, I remember one meal I had a hamburger, and it was super dry. There was no cheese, there was like no ketchup. And I just was like talking and realized, oh, we have 5 minutes to finish the meal or it's gonna get supplemented. And I was like, no, I can do this. So I like started stuffing down this hamburger, and like it was pulling it here. And so literally, like, my nose was like smushed against my face. I literally was holding it right here as I was eating so that it wouldn't like rip it off the tape on my face and like go in my nose, because it was so dry and it was like sticking to it. So that's the tube. And during the day, it would come right here, and it would go behind your ear, and you could hide it in your hair or whatever, but you would just have some clear tape, and it would tape right there. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously it was noticeable, but I would forget about it, and I wouldn't look at other people with a tube and be like, ooh, gross. Like, no, it was just part of recovery. And then at night, they would add more to it, a longer tube, and it would go into the little stand, which had a bag of fluids, just like an IV bag, but it was of like liquid nutrition and calories. And then all night, it would just tick down to the tube into my stomach. It was great. No, it's not. It was necessary. I wouldn't say it was great. I want to just real fast kind of give you the layout for what treatment was like, the one that I went to. So it was basically like this big campus. It was a ranch. And so there was like different areas, and to get from place to place, you either walked or you rode a little cart. There was 2 houses. I was in one house, and then there was other girls in another house, and there were some activities where we would meet together and stuff, but for the most part, I was with my house, and we had, like, for Mealtimes, we were all in the same area, but for other activities and therapies and things like that, we were separate. There was also a chapel where we had chapel every day at 3:30, and then there was an arts and crafts room, and there was, well, obviously the dining hall. There was a rec-ish room. There's also an outside field where we could play schoolroom. There was a little school. I was homeschooled, so to me it was so exciting to be like, okay, it's time to go to school. There was a few other houses, but those are the basic where we went every day. So basically when you get there, you're put on the gentle diet, which is not quite the full one yet, but it's not the lowest you can go. So when I got there, I was put on the gentle diet, and the first day I was puking and having diarrhea. I think the first meal, which freaked, like I had not eaten that much in days. It was like a banana, like half cup of oatmeal, and then even a half piece of toast. It was, to me it was a lot, but apparently it was the gentle diet. I couldn't handle that one, so they put me on the refeeding diet, which is even lighter. I was on that one for about a week, and then I moved back up to the gentle diet. And on those, you can't pick anything. You just have to eat what you're given. It was actually really fun because you picked your meals for the next day. When you're on the regular diet, specified that your dietitian specified for your needs, you would go to there was a little screen on the wall. We got to pick breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And there was 3 options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner each. So breakfast, there was an option of toast and oatmeal and banana and peanut butter or whatever. A more scary option like the French toast casserole and then pancakes or something, but you could pick one of 3. And then for lunch, same thing, and for dinner. So it was kind of fun because, you know, we obsess about food, so it was fun to get to pick our food. That was a fun part in the morning. Also, when you get there, you are given a red wristband. Everyone automatically is red, and the yellow with transport and yellow without transport. So I was on red when I got there, obviously, and I stayed on red for like a month. I was literally the longest person that stayed on red. It was so annoying. Everyone was moving up levels and getting to walk, and I was still red. Finally moved up to yellow with transport, so it means I still couldn't walk anywhere, but so basically it did nothing. Because green means you can do anything, red means you can do nothing. So, hi Sam. Oh no, I don't want that. Sam tried to give me the rest of his bird. I've already eaten lunch, thanks Sam. So anyway, red, yellow, and green. And green means you could do anything, and red you can't. And yellow, you could walk at that point. You could walk from place to place. If you didn't have yellow or green, you had to get driven in a little golf cart. So there was also 3 levels. So when you came in, you were on level 1, and then there was level 2, level 3. And most people stayed on level 2 the whole time. It was very rare for people to get to level 3. I didn't know anyone that was level 3. I did get to level 3 eventually, but that's only because my stay was extended because I needed to be there longer. Level 2 just meant that you could be outside, like in the backyard, kicking the soccer ball around, doing volleyball, things like that. And the way you moved up levels was actually, we had group therapy like only once a week, where everyone gathered around in a circle and talked about the issues in the house. If girls weren't getting along, those had to be discussed, everything like that. And then you'd vote for the room leader for the week, like room captain, which just meant that they got to pick where they wanted to sit when they were eating, so it wasn't that big a deal. Oh, and they got to read off the seat chart, which was a huge deal. The things that we were so obsessed about is ridiculous. Oh, also, you were assigned a big sis that kind of showed you the ropes, led you around. If you had questions, if you needed anything, you went to the big sister. So I had an amazing big sis. I was a big sis to 4 or 5 girls before I left. You got your own therapist and a dietitian and a psychologist. The actual house we were in, we were only upstairs in our rooms for the morning and the evening, like waking up and going to sleep. The majority of everything happened downstairs. Upstairs there was a big main area and a nurse's station, and then 4 rooms with 4 beds each. So you were assigned a room, and your roommates. For some dumb reason, it's like you were not allowed to go into someone else's room. Like, absolutely not. You couldn't cross the threshold of a different person's room. I don't know why. Like, so it was kind of like the bad thing. Whenever the nurses weren't looking, we would purposely just like step over and step back just to say we did, because we wanted to be bad. But we basically each had a schedule, which they were pretty much the same, except for like, say like we would have lunch, and then I might have an appointment with my dietitian, whereas if you didn't have anything going on, you would just go to school. But school was whenever you didn't have anything going on, basically, and the things going on would be therapy session, dietitian session, and then we did have like, I want to say like 3 or 4 days a week, like arts and craft time. But I mean, it was very like emotional. What are you feeling on the inside? And paint a picture, or do this mold of something on the inside or an emotion. Literally, everyone was like crying. We'd leave the room and everyone's like in tears over whatever they were holding. Apparently it's healing, but I had fun with it. I just liked to be creative. It's a chapel at 3:30. So basically, here's how the morning went. We woke up at 5:30, get dressed, time to take a shower, go downstairs. And downstairs there was 2 big rooms. The one big main room, and we each had our like lockers so we could keep stuff in it, I guess. I don't even remember what I guess school books I kept in there, which is also cool because like I said, I was homeschooled and I never got to ride a school bus or have my own locker, so it was very exciting for me to have my own locker. Everyone would get their different medicines, however much you had. And then for me, I got my blood drawn every single morning because, you know, I was dangerously unhealthy. So I remember going in back and getting my blood drawn, which I still to this day. Oh, bug. Oh, bug. A bug went down my shirt. I have a very high pain tolerance, but I cannot stand getting, and okay, I know I'm skinnier right now anyway, so the veins pop, but I've always had huge veins, and so does my dad. So like, look at this vein here. You can, dang, that's a vein. Whew. I'm gonna work on that. So anyway, the nurses could easily find my vein right here, and I've had lots of blood drawn, and it doesn't even hurt. It's just so, ugh. I just can't, I freak out. Like, some nurses were better than others. I remember we always were like, oh, is so-and-so working today? Because she finds the vein right away, she gets it, she's done good. And then some nurses, you were like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna lose half of my blood. I heard a horror story. One nurse that forgot to undo they tie a thing right here to kind of get it to go. She like put out the needle before she undid the thing, and like there was like blood splurting everywhere. Floor, on the walls. Now, I didn't see it, I just heard about it from the girl who came out, and her face was like splotchy and white, and she looked awful, like she's about to die. And she was like, yeah, that lady just drained all my blood and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, never, ever, ever letting anyone take my blood again. But I did, obviously. I forgot where I was at. Morning. And then when we were all ready, we would either walk or drive down to meals. We got 30 minutes to eat our food, and then we'd walk back, and then the day began. Monday and Friday, we had Equine Therapy, which was the highlight of our week, which means equine is like horses. So we would get to go and ride horses. Monday was like trail riding day, which everyone hated. Friday was like barrel racing day, so we were in like the corral and we were like galloping the horses. It was, I mean, horses are great, but if you're just walking the horse, it's like, it's kind of boring when you're like lined up back to back to back, and then the horse in front of you poops. Nasty. So I always liked the coral days better when we had races about and like doing around the barrels and stuff. I think a pine cone fell. That's it. We have pine cone trees. My time there, I'm not going to go into huge detail. I came in on red, and I stayed on red for at least 3 weeks. And then at one point I was on couch rest, which means you cannot move from the couch, which was the hardest thing in my life. You literally got your food brought to you because you couldn't move, because I wasn't gaining weight, and they're like, you just cannot burn a calorie. 2 days, and then I went from couch rest, so I was like red wristband, couch rest, and then I went from that up to yellow with transport and off of couch rest. I was still getting golf carted around to places, which was so frustrating because everyone else got to walk. I was on level 1, and then I finally got to green. My therapist could not believe I got to green. Wait, what? Did so-and-so like sign that off? I was like, yeah. Oh, she did. She did, and I was like kind of pissed at him for not believing me. I don't remember at what point I got to be level 2, but I was level 2, so that means I could kick the soccer ball. So I made a lot of friends, but I made a few enemies. Like, most of the girls were cool with each other, but everybody on campus knew her and I. Little girl, honestly, yeah, I was 13. No, wait. 10, 17, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Just kidding, I was 14. And she was like 16 or 17, so she was older than me. She was a bully, she was picking on me, and honestly, I mean, I understand now, but I'm pretty sure I just triggered her because I was skinnier than she was, and she really, really struggled with body image, and she was that kind of person that could be super sweet, but was patronizing you. So like, oh, Stephanie, did you really just do that? You don't really want to recover, do you? Do you know you're gonna die? There was this one huge outburst, and like 3 of the other girls that were like older, like 17, it was amazing. They stood up for me, and I just was like, they love me. Because I was a puny little girl and I couldn't talk for myself, apparently. He was just mean. We left on good terms, but honestly there was always like, I don't like you, you don't like me, we rub each other the wrong way. So But for the most part, I made friends. The way Mealtimes worked, I wanted to touch on that real fast. A nurse or a BHT, I always had one of those like around us. So my table might have had the nurse and the next table might have had the BHT. And so there was one BHT to 6 girls, 2, 3 girls, 1, 2, 3 girls. And it was always like who could get there first to sit the farthest away from the nurse. Not even if you were gonna like try to restrict or like skip something, but if you're the closest, then she's like watching you like a hawk. I was always next to the nurse. Like literally, they can decide. So you'd be like, all right, well on table 1 is Betty and Julia and Emma and whatever. And then they would say with Stephanie by the nurse. Like there would be like in bold if the dietitians wanted me to sit by the nurse. Other than that, if it didn't say that, you could sit wherever. I was for the most part by the nurse. Like I was assigned by the nurse. Could be. I mean for the first month. And it was really hard not to compare to other people's meals and how fast they were eating. I would a lot of times like watch her and kind of try to match her pace. Like, stop watching me. I can't, you're making me very uncomfortable right now. I know that I'm a great role model for you, but you're making me uncomfortable by watching me eat. I was like, where else to look? I'll just look at my food, whatever. So that was how meals worked. So the way it typically worked was you were there for 2 months minimum. In the middle of that time, so after 1 month, you would have family week, and your family would come for the weekends, and you would do family therapy stuff, and you would get to go on the Saturday and basically hang out with them all day. 1 month in, I was still very unstable and had gained a whole lot apparently, even though she was increasing my tube feeding every night. Just goes to show you need a lot when you're in recovery. They called my parents and were like, hey, you shouldn't come out yet, she's not ready. So they didn't come out for the first month. They came out after 2 months. So I ended up staying for 3 months total. But the first month was me really just resisting everything. I was looking for every opportunity to exercise behind closed doors, to skimp on my food. My problem was really exercise, honestly. And there was one time I was exercising in the shower, just like running in place or something. Mid-shower, shampoo running down my face. She rips open the curtain and grabs my arm and just yanks me out. What the heck are you doing? Get out of here right now. You stop it right now. And she was just like yelling at me. And I was like, I'm naked. Couldn't see because there was soap in my eyes and I didn't have any clothes on. There was other girls there, but I had to drink. If you ever got caught exercising, you had to drink a supplement. So I had to drink an Ensure. I had to drink a lot of Ensures, but that was one time. Then another time, both my roommates were in the showers and the other one was in front of an open window, stupid, and I was jumping around, jumping. One of the nurses was walking by outside, and because the light was on inside, she easily saw what I was doing and rushed in and said, she's working out. Like, stupid Stephanie. I drank an Ensure that night. It was fabulous. So I remember things were just getting hard. I was sick of it all. I was like, I don't want to fight anymore. I don't remember what started it being really bad. I mean, dinner was hard. I had to supplement dinner, and I was like crying about it, and I did have one really close friend that was a Christian. She just came up to me and gave me a small wooden cross. I want you to have this, and remember that he's your strength. And I went to the farthest corner of their room and stuffed my face in the couch and just started crying, and I was holding it like right here. At that point, I can't do this anymore. I cannot live my life like this. This is not living. I finally crashed, and the only thing that brought me up was Christ. So it takes hitting rock bottom and coming to the end of myself, realizing I am absolutely nothing and I have absolutely nothing, for me to reach up and be like, all I have is Christ. And that's what started the change. I had been still putting myself in control, trusting in myself to get better, and that will never ever work. Say that again. Trusting in yourself to do it will never work. You might recover for like a year, 2 years. Left to our own strength, we can't do it. I would have been dead. If there had not been intervention by my parents and by the professionals, I would have been dead. So obviously, trusting myself was not the way to go, and I finally realized that. So that's when I reached out to God, and I was like, I need your help. I'm giving you the control back. I give up. I'm done. Please take control of my life again. As scary as it was and as horrible as it sounded, you have to give up and just trust other people and trust Christ, and You can't trust yourself, especially when you're that unhealthy. Your mind is not sane. I noticed a change from that day. I actually want recovery. I stopped trying to work out and exercise every chance I got. I started enjoying my time there. Like, how can I live to the fullest in this day? What can I do today that's gonna make me better and bring glory to Christ? Just changing your entire perspective makes a huge difference. So that's what I did. The weight came on faster because I wanted it and it was okay. I started eating more because during snacks you have a little bit of flexibility. We had 3 snacks a day. You had numbers basically, like I was 5 to 7, which means I had to have 5 to 7 exchanges over the course of those 3 snacks. So if I wanted 4 in the morning, I had to have at least 1 more during the day, but I could have up to 7. So before this, I'd always only been having bare minimum 5, that's it. But I finally was like, no, let's try 6. Let's try 7, see what happens. Did I turn into a balloon? Nope, I did not. I just got healthier faster. I started eating to the maximum of my snacks, just being more joyful and accepting the program and surrendering myself and trusting that God was in control. It wasn't me. I couldn't do it. Look where it had gotten. Also, my wonderful family sent me, I was known as the Fax Girl because there's a fax machine. So my family would fax me every single day. And it would always be one from Dad early in the morning, encouraging me with scripture and just, how are you doing, sweetie? And then there was always one from Timmy and Jessica just saying things like, miss you, sis, love you. And they would share goofy stories. And it was, I would wake up in the morning like, Stephanie, you have 7 more faxes. And I was like, yes. And everyone's like, I never get a fax. I never get mail. I got mail every single day because my family and my friends are amazing. And I got stuff from other friends too. So thank you to all those people that made my stay pretty good. After 2 months was family week, and family week, my mom and my dad came out, and my oldest brother. That was a hard week. There was a lot of tears shed during therapy sessions, and we had an art session for that too. And I don't remember sadly what it was, but my brother made something. My mom was over there sobbing. I was crying. Like, it was heart-wrenching. And it's sad now that I don't remember exactly what he said. It hurt him. It hurt the entire family, and I hadn't been aware how much it was hurting them until that point. Another highlight, my tube got out. My parents requested my tube to come out, and my dietitian was like out of town or something for that weekend. At this point, I would wake up nauseated and full and just feeling gross, and I'm pretty sure it was from the medicine in the tube, and just, I was getting healthier, and so like, in my mind, I was like, I don't need this anymore. I'd rather just drink extra Ensure throughout the day. I'm done with the tube. I want it out. And my dietitian was like, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm not gonna okay that. You have to keep the tube. Ow! Cat just clawed me. What? My parents were like, my parents at that point were like, we're her guardians, we're her parents, we want it out. She was like, no. And the sweet nurse, I love her because she went against rules. I shouldn't be doing this. I'll probably get in trouble for this, but come back here and let's get that tube out of you, girl. My tube was taken out, and it was amazing. Getting the tube out was like the most uncomfortable thing. Like I said, that wall that we pushed to go down, it's worse pulling it out. So she started pulling, and like, I can't even describe it. Like, it was just wrong. It just felt wrong. Basically, it's like going the wrong way on a suction and pulling against the gravity, and it just, I can't describe it. It was awful. It hurt, so she pulled, and I was like, ah! I can't describe it. It was awful. Just don't ever get one. It's awful. Well, if you need one, you get one, but don't let yourself get there. It's not worth it. Food is better than a tube. The cat is like, oh, no. Ugh. Cats make me sneeze. Okay. Hi, kitty. Okay. Oh, he's laying his head on my lap. He drooled on me. This is a clean shirt, dude. So the tube came out against medical advice, and the nurse did it. She was amazing, and it was amazing. We like rented a Jeep and went like back road countrying that day. We went out to eat, which was challenging but fun. We played some basketball. I remember that. My dad was impressed. He was like, wow, Stephanie, you weren't like running around like crazy to get the ball and doing excess just to exercise more. You were just playing the game to have fun. And I was like, yeah, see, I'm improving. So it was a really encouraging week, and it was great. After that, 1 more month, and that month was great. Honestly, it was like summer camp because I got to level 3, which meant I could supervise the table while eating. Big deal. I could be the leader and take places. Once you're ready and willing to recover, The food's great. I was allowed to play games. I played frisbee. We played soccer. My poor nurse. She's like, Stephanie Frank, I've never had to write so many incident reports. She had to call my parents like 4 times. Your daughter like skinned her knee and we had to glue your daughter's knee. I kept hurting myself. I kept getting questions about what inpatient treatment was like. Okay, bye. People ask, what was the best part of your inpatient treatment? It allowed me to get weight restored. I did make lasting friendships and connections with girls that were going through the same thing, so it was something to bond over and share our struggles with, so that was super helpful. It gave my family a break from me, because when you have a loved one going through a disorder, that is one of the hardest things you're gonna have to go through. Making sure they're eating, trying to support them, and trying to understand while if you don't have an eating disorder, you're just like, why will you not just eat? Your body's hungry, feed your body. Like, it just makes sense to a normal person, but not to an anorexic. So I was thankful that they got a break from that. The worst parts would be the tube. The tube was super uncomfortable. Didn't like the tube. I missed out on my youngest brother's 4th birthday. I missed out on a family vacation, skiing and snowboarding. I missed out on my oldest brother's birthday. I missed out on the summer camp. I got behind in school. It's just not the same. So I definitely got behind and struggled to catch back up. I never self-harmed, but I saw others do it. It was scary. It was bad. We'll just leave that there. I saw some things I will never unsee. That's kind of helped me like to never ever want to self-harm either. And then just not being with my family. I was gone a total of 4.5 months. There's times you don't get along, but you love your family, and I love my family, so that was for sure hard. And then so I did come home after 3 months. It's time to bring her home. We need her back home. And the doctor was like, she still has to gain a minimum of 15 pounds. Too hard, she's not ready. You tell me I can't do it, I'm gonna do it. You just watch me do it. It was hard and it was stressful, but I did do it, and so thankful that they brought me home at that point. Someone else asked me, would you recommend it? If you're like me, you have to die, 100% yes. Even if you're not like super underweight, maybe a little bit underweight, and there were girls there that were not underweight at all. Some people struggle with bulimia or binge eating disorder, totally normal, healthy weight, even maybe a little bit bigger. If you're struggling with something like this mental illness, it doesn't matter what your body type is. You can't stereotype eating disorder. You can be in any body and still be struggling so much on the inside and just be, the voices are raging, I know. I would recommend inpatient 100%. It is scary giving up control, but it's also kind of freeing, because at home in self-recovery, and like right now that I'm also trying to get through, is having to be responsible on my own, trying not to count calories or counting exchanges, making sure I'm eating enough, what am I gonna eat, kind of thinking about it, but trying not to obsess about it. When you're inpatient, they have a meal plan for you, your food's right in front of you, and you're gonna eat it. If you don't eat it, you're gonna drink supplements. So it's kind of less stressful, and kind of, it sounds so contradictory, but it's like freeing, because you don't have to worry about it anymore, because you just do it and you have to do it. That's why you're there. Yeah, I would recommend it. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. I hope it was helpful, maybe to answer questions if you're thinking about going to treatment or thinking you need it but don't think you're sick enough or valid. Like, no, that's not a thing. If you're struggling, it's valid. Your struggles are valid no matter what your size. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your watches, your subscriptions, your likes, all that fun stuff. And I really just hope this was an encouragement, and that's what my goal is, to be an encouragement and to share my story and be a light to those around me. I will see you guys in the next one.